It's like, yes, Bruce Wayne just never has time for holidays. Calendar Man always remembers when the holiday is.
Batman doesn't celebrate Christmas. Calendar Man would like to wish you happy, including these 5 unofficial ones. Also, happy birthday, Sir Isaac Newton.
Na 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 Avon 7. Hello and welcome to the Avon 7 podcast. I'm your host and boy wonder, Trey. And I'm joined by the man keeping this operation afloat, Professor Shinobi Pennyworth, Esquire.
I would want to make sure that everything in this podcast is done efficiently and to your standards, Master Trey.
And lighting the bat signal, we've got Spencer.
Oh, Batman!
Today, continuing our unofficial tradition of superhero podcasts in December, we're talking about Batman. From the 1960s to the present, from the comic page to the big screen, all things Batman, all Battime. Before we begin, we would like to thank you all for tuning in and to wish you all a happy holiday. If you're new here, we hope you enjoy. If you do enjoy, please leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and share this on social media. We are 12 subscribers away from our big goal this year of 200. Please let us at least hit 200 this year. You can help us reach that goal, so just share this out, hit the subscribe, tell your friends to hit the subscribe. It'll help us out. With all that out of the way, grab your utility belts, sharpen those batarangs, and remember, we don't kill, but we can seriously injure. So we're just gonna kind of spitball about Batman. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is, you guys have a favorite Batman movie? Live action, animated, any Batman thing? Do you have a favorite?
Oh, Lord. My favorite piece of Batman. Honestly, it's not the common one that comes up a lot, but I think one of my favorite movies from Batman is actually Batman Sub-Zero.
Oh, okay.
It's interesting because it's one where he gets to play detective a lot more often than just, oh, I need to go fight crime. Like, there's a lot of times where it's like, oh, we need to investigate a phone call and that we heard a boat in a distance. Like, that was always so fun to me. And also the story of Victor Freeze is always one that has interested me a little bit more because it's a character arc that started with Batman the Animated Series. Because originally it was just like a Captain Cold ripoff of, oh, well, I have a freeze gun and I'm going to do freeze-related crimes. And it's like, why not actually give him a backstory that matters? And just him trying everything to try to get anything to get his wife back. It's like, this is actually a really interesting and well-written story. So I actually really like that as one of my favorite movies for Batman.
It's a much better representation of Mr. Freeze than Arnold Schwarzenegger and his ice puns.
What killed my love for Victor Freeze?
The Ice Age!
Yeah, no, that is definitely a take for Batman, trying to go back to the campiness that was Adam West. But man, you get Victor Freeze an actual serious storyline, and it's like, oh, this is actually a really interesting idea for a character, and especially when he gets to murder people in Batman Beyond. The straight up, what happens is that it's like, oh, well, we're trying to investigate Victor Freeze because he was cryogenically frozen and now he's back. But like, he goes out into like 50-degree weather and he's sweating profusely, and it's like, well, I guess we don't have any use for him. We can do a scientific study on his corpse. And it's like, now he cracks, he gets his suit, and goes, there might be some momentary discomfort. Then you hear screaming, then the lights go out, and we never see that character again.
Oh boy. It's like, once again, Batman the Animated Series did not mess around.
That was Batman Beyond, actually.
Oh, was that a Batman Beyond? Okay.
That's a Batman Beyond episode.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
Batman Beyond had a episode where Mr. Freeze comes back and they have this whole kind of heart-to-heart thing. It's like he's trying to be like a changed man and better, but old man Batman can't believe that he is, whereas shoot, what was his name?
Terry.
Victor Fr-
Terry for.
Yeah, Terry.
Okay. Jeremy
was
Guinness,
trying
yeah.
to see him as like an actually reformed man, and in the end, it was a little bit of both. Old Bruce was right to an extent, and Terry was also right to an extent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I
Yeah,
remember
Mr.
that
Freeze was just a
episode.
complex man.
Well, that was what made him interesting, was that it wasn't just, oh, well, I'm just inherently evil. It was nice to see him painted with a little bit of gray.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of a steely blue cold.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, the first outfit that he had definitely had, like, black and blue and purple. And it's like, yeah, we could probably do a better design later. Then the Batman was like, what if his helmet was made of ice?
Oh, yeah. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, the Batman definitely took a lot of liberties with designs on costumes for the Rogues Gallery. I definitely remember it's like, what if the Joker had sleeves? More sleeves. I said more sleeves.
Well, that was basically the straitjacket look, because he was really insane. Yeah, I always
It worked.
It worked. It's like that was a very interesting interpretation of the Joker, and we'll talk about that later. Spencer, do you have a favorite Batman movie that comes to mind?
I don't really have a favorite, honestly. Like, I don't think I've seen specifically enough like Batman movies. Like the most that I've seen has been like the Christopher Nolan Batman, The Dark Knight. That's, of those three, that's the one that I know the most, and it's just like, it's really, really memorable.
Yeah, there's a
So
lot.
from like the live action perspective, it's like the best one out there.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
Heath Ledger's Joker is just at this point legendary.
Ugh, yes.
Like nothing really comes close to it.
It's like, nope. Nothing comes
The
close
recent
to
the recent Batman movie by Matt Reeves, it takes it goes back to Batman's whole detective crime solving work with having to deal with the Riddler and trying to see like how the Riddler's stuff plays out and how this Batman is able to kind of figure stuff out, or maybe not figure stuff out quite in time.
it. Yeah.
It's a long movie, like a lot of the live action stuff, and I think like the first like half to 2/3 of the movie does really well, though the end just kind of like, you could take it or leave it.
Yeah. But hey, that car chase. Oh god, that car chase.
That car chase.
It's like that was probably my second favorite interpretation of the Batmobile, and it was awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I gotta ask what your first was then.
Well, I obviously like Batman the animated series, something we'll probably talk about a lot in this podcast. Is just
Yes.
has almost every definitive version of Batman that I truly love. But I will say, like the Tim Burton with Michael Keaton, that version of the Batmobile they had with the giant bat fin on it, I think was honestly probably the best Batmobile, because it just it screams like this is a custom built machine for solving crime, and just and branding.
Very much on the branding side. It's definitely more iconic, even than Batman the not animated series, the Dark Knight trilogy, I would say, because there's a really amusing line I love from that movie of Batman Begins. It's like, can you please describe the vehicle he's in? He's driving a black tank.
Yep. It's like
And it's just like, we just gotta get something that's really, really intense and looking on that one. Although, there's a really funny bit, and I think it's in The Dark Knight, where he has to go, quote unquote, incognito. And he has to drive a vehicle. And I have to look up the exact name of it, but I want to say it's the Movado that he's driving. When you translate the name of the vehicle he's driving, it's the Bat. Like, they actually thought that far, where we're going to design everything so it would be kind of this in-joke of being Bat related, and it was amusing. But yeah, I definitely have to agree. it's not the greatest visual appealing design that you look at that and you go, that's the Batmobile.
Yeah, no, the Tumbler was not really the Batmobile. It was just Christopher Nolan's whole shtick was that this was what would happen if Batman was more or less real. So he would just use military technology and just happens to so what's the best kind of assault vehicle? A tank.
Yes.
That just doesn't have a cannon on it. That is the only difference between this and an actual tank.
Yeah.
My favorite Bat movie is, I actually want to say it's from Batman Beyond. It's The Return of the Joker.
That's a really good choice.
It's like, besides Mask of the Phantasm, which once again, everything Batman the Animated Series did is peak. So if we take that out of contention, The Return of the Joker is probably the best one they've ever made. It's so good. Because everyone knows about Jason Todd's death at the hands of the Joker was bad. But what they did to Tim Drake in this version of the storytelling is almost several times worse.
Considering they had to edit this down for television, it's like, yeah.
That kid went crazy.
Yep.
That kid went through enough. I think that's fair to say.
It was more than enough, jeez.
It's like, I almost wish he had just died, because that was, whew.
Yeah.
It was horrendous.
It's definitely a good movie as well, because it's definitely showing Terry McGinnis coming into his own, because he's the one that points out there has to be something to lead this when Bruce was just about this close to giving up.
Yep.
And he basically also has that whole great monologue of, what? I thought you wanted to make Batman laugh.
The final confrontation where he just throws the Joker off his game.
And he starts laughing back at him.
Yep.
It's like,
it's like, you're not Batman!
it says you.
But yeah, that's probably my favorite movie that involves Batman. So that was like just the backstory. And Batman Beyond, what, as I've heard from several interviews, was the Batman show they never wanted to make. But gosh darn it was good.
Yeah, it really was. It also has a really... It has that really interesting dark twist that I was definitely not expecting at first. Where I was thinking, okay, it's going to be Batman Beyond. It's going to be slightly longer. They have someone who says that they're the Joker. Oh boy!
It's like,
Nope.
Yep. It's like, it's
It
not
is
just...
the Joker.
It's like, it's not someone pretending to be the Joker. It is the Joker subconscious implanted on someone else. And it's like, oh my god!
Yeah. It also shows that Ace is a good dog.
Yes, Ace
Ace's best boy, yes.
Yes, Ace should get all the treats. All the treats.
Yeah. I got really sad when, after the passing of Kevin Conroy, I watched a couple of videos about Batman, and one of the very famous scenes is from Batman Justice League Unlimited, I believe, where they're going through a lot of the times that what Batman had done in the past. And one of the things was that they needed to stop a kid psychic who was just going to overrun the entire city. She's going to harm tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. We need to stop her. And you know that means we may have to kill her. So he goes over, and she is just on a swing set, and she can read everything that Batman is thinking. And she just says that she got cheated out of the childhood that she had. And he says that he could sympathize, and she just looks at him and goes, you really do understand that, don't you?
Yeah. Oh.
It's so rough, but it's particularly rough when you realize that her name is also Ace.
Oh yeah, because they were the Royal Flush Gang, a different version of them.
So a particular headcanon for me was that he felt so bad about that he named the dog Ace.
That's a nice headcanon. I actually like that. So, leaving that for a minute, do you guys have a favorite live-action portrayal? So we've got Adam West, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, and Robert Pattinson were our main live-action Batman portrayals. It's like, is it any one of those sticks out as your quote-unquote favorite / definitive one?
Let's see. Well, the Lego Batman movie does count for live action.
It does not. Otherwise, yes, Will Arnett is peak Batman.
We'll talk about that in just a second. But yeah, I definitely think if we're gonna go live action, I really do like Christopher Nolan's take on Batman, and Christian Bale brings out the character so well. But about the only thing I was not a huge fan of is how he does his Batman voice.
You don't like it when he talks like this?
Oh, sorry. I forgot the lozenges in the other bat belt. Wouldn't that be a utility belt? Oh, yeah, that actually does sound cooler. Hold on, let me drink some water. Did it help?
Nope.
No, like, there's a lot of really fun things about that entire series for the live action part. Being trained by Ra's al Ghul, having a whole thing with ninjas, which you look at the username, I obviously like that idea a lot. And then going into the Dark Knight, where you have a really cool dynamic between order and chaos, and whether that means that you balance that out with actually following the law, or if you actually just go with your gut and do what you feel like is right. And then there's the third one.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I saw that movie for $1 and I felt like I wanted to get a refund.
Really? I know a lot of people didn't like the third movie, but it's still a competently made movie for the most part.
For the most part, it is. The problem that I had was just that so much of this movie could have just been Bane is the villain.
Yeah.
And then they just totally undercut it later.
Yeah, that was my problem with it, probably.
That felt really, really dumb. It also was weird that I pointed out to my girlfriend at the time, where it's like, that's Scarecrow. It's like, what? Yeah, Scarecrow is the judge. Are you kidding me? Where is he in the rest of this movie?
So that's the funny thing about the Nolan movies. Scarecrow makes an appearance in every single movie.
Single, yes.
It's like he makes a singular appearance in Dark Knight, and then again in Dark Knight Rises. He's the only one who's just consistently showing up throughout the entire series of movies for no reason really, other than we have him on contract, I guess.
Which I can understand why he was in the first one, because, and I know I had this whole thing of like, oh well, they undercut the villain later. I feel like at least the first movie establishes Rage as a villain. They introduce Scarecrow as kind of like a motif, and then find out, oh, they're actually working together, and he's been using Scarecrow the whole time. Okay, fine. But when they do it again and not as well in the third movie, it's like, why? You had Bane. Bane was such a cool villain. So that's my favorite live action Batman. What about yours?
It's like, Spencer, got any ideas?
Well, I mean, as far as like live action Batmans are concerned, I'm kind of pigeonholed because I haven't seen much past the Christopher Nolan stuff and the recent Batman. I'm not even going to count the Justice League movies.
You're not gonna count
I'm not
Batfleck?
gonna count that because that was just. I don't really have a problem with Ben Affleck, but just God, those movies were dumb.
There definitely can be really a case made for bad writing, good actor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, oh boy, the Justice League movies, it's so weird that Warner Brothers owns the rights to Batman. They have several Justice League animated movies, and they're just leagues better.
The animated department is always good with DC. I don't know what, and yet they will never promote it.
That's the thing that I've kind of noticed over the years, is that DC has some pretty good animated movies, but their live action stuff is hit or miss, depending on who's writing and directing the thing. If it's Batman on his own, it's probably going to be fine. Most people do decently well enough with that. But if it's anyone else, it's just kind of like, well, this doesn't seem to have a great track record.
Yeah.
And then on the Marvel side, it's kind of flip-flopped, where the MCU is where all the attention is, and anything animated in Marvel outside of something like Spider-Man just really doesn't hold up.
The What If series, I think, holds up pretty well for them.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but that's
Well, yeah,
kind
it's
of new,
more
and
exception than rule.
It's also MCU adjacent.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
technically connected.
that's fair.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
compared
it's
to everything
MCU
else.
adjacent, especially with the whole TV series stuff setting up the multiverse and Kang the
Yeah.
Conqueror for the next big Avengers stuff, which we'll see how all that stuff plays out. But that's a different conversation entirely. Batman.
Back to Batman. So even if you, based on the two you do have context for, Christian Bale versus Robert Pattinson, who do you think is more your speed?
You see, it's an interesting question because they both have strengths, but it's also Batman in technically two different points in his life.
True.
You have
Yeah.
the Dark Knight series where he's like later on in his life and he's been around the block quite a bit, and then you have the recent Batman, which is really an origin story more than anything.
Well, that's funny. That's funny you say that, but the Nolan trilogy does Batman Begins, so he does year one, then Joker basically takes place in the same year. The fact that Batman acts like he has all this figured out already because he's got training from the League of Shadows and all that, he's still a year younger than Robert Pattinson's Batman.
That's an interesting thought.
I call bullshit.
Except for
bullshit.
Except for in the third movie where he's stopped being Batman, unless I'm forgetting about a time skip between the first Batman movie and the second Batman movie. Batman Begins is year one. The Dark Knight is within the same year, or at least a year or two later, because the end of Batman Begins sets up the Joker. So technically, Christian Bale is a year younger in experience than Robert Pattinson, who's in his year two.
That's what I'm double checking, because a lot of places that I'm looking at right now space it by a year between Batman Begins and Dark Knight.
So if it's a year in between there, then they're the same when they're it's like Christian Bale's second movie is year two for him, and Robert Pattinson's first movie is year two for him.
Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't know much because I still need to see the Robert Pattinson Batman. It's been a matter of scheduling that in, unfortunately.
Yeah. But yeah, there's something to chew on for you folks.
Well, give us something else to consider, Trey. What's your favorite live-action Batman?
It's like, I think Robert Pattinson took it for me. Like, it was
Really? Okay.
It was like, it was either going to be him or it was going to be Michael Keaton. It's like, Michael Keaton does an amazing job. And honestly, the scene in the first movie for Batman 89, where Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne goes up against Joker in the apartment and does the whole, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts!" And I was like, sold.
Okay, yeah, I will admit that it definitely is a great moment as well. And I've heard the argument before where it's like he doesn't look like Bruce Wayne and he doesn't look like Batman, but it's also like, but it also allows him to switch between the roles very, very well.
Yes.
And like, he doesn't do a bad job. He definitely does a really good job in acting for it, but yeah, it's definitely one where it's hard to get a beat on what his exact flavor is, except for like that one particular scene you brought up.
Mm-hmm. But otherwise, Robert Pattinson, the Batman was even better than I thought it was going to be. Because yes, I was worried about Robert Pattinson being the Batman when they first announced it. After seeing that first trailer of just how brutal this movie was going to be, I was like, nope, he's good. I'm okay with this. And watching him throughout that movie, the detective side of Batman has never been properly shown on screen until this movie for live action.
I think that I liked that a lot about the Batman, the beginning parts of that movie, because it really kind of focused in a little bit more on that and having him have a lot of tech and stuff, but not being in super ridiculous scenarios that is like, how are you getting away with this?
Because I'm Batman! I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And so yeah, Robert Pattinson did such an amazing job, and I'm glad they're still going forward with Batman 2, with the Batman 2 at some point in the future. I know James Gunn
I think it's scheduled for like Well, I guess there isn't a schedule, but it seems that rumblings right now are like 2025.
Yeah, that would be the most reasonable time we'll get it. Maybe 2024 if we're lucky. But right now, with everything going on at DC, the recent upheaval, and now James Gunn is in charge, he still has to make up his plan. But they've already established that they're probably not going to touch the Batman. They're not going to touch... what was the other thing they had just done that they were like, we're not going to touch this? All we know is that James Gunn is going to be reworking the DC universe, so they're definitely going to find another Batman to play in that so they can have that proper continuity, but they're going to leave the Batman alone. Oh, Joker was the other thing they weren't going to touch.
Oh, okay.
Because they're already going forward with Joker 2 with Lady Gaga in it.
There's going to be a Joker 2?
Role?
Most likely playing a version of Harley Quinn is what everyone's speculating. So
all right.
It's like everyone's speculating that this is about to be a musical.
I mean, it's not entirely out of the question. I mean, we've already seen in Justice League that Batman has the ability to sing.
Yes, we have. But that'll come down to how Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga work together on screen. I have no idea what they're going to do for that movie. I still haven't seen Joker because I don't care about seeing the madness behind a madman.
Well, it's also kind of like pitching the idea for a Batman movie that does not have Batman. And, like, it's not impossible. I've seen Assault on Arkham. Assault on Arkham is a really, really good movie, but it needed to be called Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that they were like, if you call it Suicide Squad, I don't know if it's going to be popular or not.
And then they made Suicide Squad, and now they could use the moniker without a problem.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that actually brings us to the next topic. There's a kind of a broad one, but we got comics, games, animated projects, anything to touch on any of those. I know I don't read the comics enough for Batman. It's like DC Comics don't hold enough for me unless I want to read Teen Titans or Static. These are the things I want to read from DC Comics.
All right. Well, take it from the person that read a couple of the comics and has Azrael numbers 1 through 100, which is the complete collection. I know a little about Batman at that point.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
There's some really fun things that you get from the comics, and there's always the idea of multiple universes. I do know one of my favorite pages is from Gotham Shall Be Judged. They have Bruce Wayne come back from being dead for a while. Don't worry, it's comic books are the thing.
Yep.
But Dick Grayson is still working on the mantle, and it's also like, oh, I told everyone Nightwing died, so I can't just have me come back because that might make everybody panic. So there literally is a panel that, since it's the beginning of the comic book, they're introducing everybody, and it's Bruce Wayne, Batman, Dick Grayson, Batman. It's like, I love this comic already. Twice as much Batman as I was expecting. Let's roll with this. But there is a really interesting bit in Gotham Shall Be Judged that was Azrael. If you're not familiar, it's okay. I don't blame you. He's not exactly the most prevalent villain and anti-hero, I guess is the best way to put him. He comes from an order of really, really secretive part of the Catholic Church called the Order of Dumas. And they have a mantle that basically is sort of like Batman, except it's magical medieval armor with twin swords that makes you go very slowly insane.
Huh.
And
I see.
Oh boy, it goes really insane and is starting to go full insane, and goes that he will judge Gotham like Sodom and Gomorrah. Oh, and it's a really interesting comic because it's going between the different faiths of different characters. So like Tim Drake grew up mostly agnostic. Dick Grayson grew up with a conflict of whether he was Christian or not. One of the interesting bits is that Selena Kyle has a monologue that goes, if Sodom and Gomorrah was supposed to be judged the same as Gotham, then shouldn't it be saved by the lives of 10 good men? And it's like, wait, that actually is part of the Bible verse, is that when they're talking and God is saying that if there is 10 good men, then I will spare the city. The reason we find out that she knows about this is that she actually grew up in a monastery with nuns.
Yeah, I can believe that. I think I've heard that.
So I was like, this is actually really cool writing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a really fun thing I don't get to share nearly as much, but it's one that if you like comic books and if you're interested in different perspectives of faith, I think it's a very interesting one to read. Azrael as a character, like I said, basically goes from my dad is secretly just moving out of town all the time and I don't know what he's doing to, oh, sweet, I get to be Azrael. And now I'm slowly hearing whispers telling me that I need to kill everyone in the name of God.
In the name of God.
Oh boy! Is someone gonna stop him? No? Cool. Oh, shoot, and I'm trying to think, because the mantle later gets passed down because even further for Michael Lane, you see him in some of the Batman video games as well. Arkham City, I think, was the first appearance for him on that one. And Michael Lane also very much after getting the mantle was like, well, I was one of the candidates to take over to be Batman, but I didn't make the cut, but I did find this suit. And oh boy, he starts getting in arguments with some of the priests. He starts leveling parts of the city. He gets the twin swords, except this time instead of just fire, one is blue fire, one is orange fire, so it has like the fire and ice effects. And I'm like, oh,
that's kind of.
I need to buy all these comic books now.
It's like that's kind of cool though. That is the problem. It's like that scene.
Oh, it's so cool. He's the reason I went through and I got like a 5-year quest to find all 100 comics that he doesn't even show up in. It's just the mantle. So yeah, he's a really, really fun character in it. Other things in the comics that I would recommend, I mean, like, golly, I only have so many of them. One of them that I do want to give a shout out for is Harley Quinn's run by Steven Sejic. Steven Sejic wrote a whole bunch of things. He's the writer for Death Vigil. He's the writer for Sunstone, which is not exactly the most work-appropriate comic to talk about. But it came from a little short story that he did where Harley Quinn goes over her relationship with Joker, and it's like, oh, I think the Joker's being a manipulative asshole.
It's like, yeah.
And she really, really suffers with that, and she tries to find a way to break up with him. So she does the most sensible thing. She goes talk to her friend, Dr. Pamela Lillian Isley.
Yes.
And she's like, oh, by the way, I figured out a way that now you're immune to my kisses of, like, the poison ivy kiss of death. And it's like, huh. And in a later comic, outside of Steven Sejic's work, they're like, we should get married. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's been
this is the hot, spicy thing that I needed to see. I'm sorry, Joker, I'm breaking up with you for someone who's a doctor.
Yep. It's like that is all. It's like all the fanfics that came. Well, actually, it wasn't even a fanfic because this was an idea.
Because it became official because he became a writer for DC and he actually wrote it. And I don't think it's mainline continuity, but the mainline continuity of them getting married is like, I am all for this.
Well, I mean, there's several iterations of Harley and Ivy being together, especially currently because of the Harley Quinn show.
Yeah. I was about to say.
It's like, specifically the Harley Quinn show is 100% they are together, but this seed was planted back in Batman the Animated Series or the new Batman show, depending on where the break was. But
right,
there was it was a holiday special, and Harley and Ivy were planning to spend the holiday together. Obviously, in the 90s, you couldn't write that as these two lesbians were about to have a holiday together. They're just two best friends who do crime together.
Well, they wouldn't exactly have the same holiday together because that's actually a canonic thing that she brings up. It's like, wait, Harley, aren't you Jewish?
It's like she was probably raised Jewish.
She was! And that was the interesting thing. And so when she jokes by saying, and have a happy Hanukkah by bashing Batman in the face with a mallet, she actually grew up with that tradition. So it's like, huh, I learned something today.
Also, happy Hanukkah, everybody, because even by the time we get this out, Hanukkah will still be going on.
I guess that's true, yeah. So, oh golly, what other things do I need to bring up for the comic books? I mean, there's always the Marvel DC amalgam comics.
Ooh, no.
The amalgam comics?
I guess those are the random crossovers.
Get this. We have DC and we have Marvel, and they have this really long feuding relationship, and then they leaned over and went, okay, listen, I know that we have like this really big rivalry, but we really like money.
Let's make this
money. If you let us use your universe, and we let you use our universe, and we write together, we can make a really, really cool comic series. And then it went on, and it went on pretty well, and it was popular. And then they went, okay, we gotta stop serving the peanut butter and the chocolate separately. It's time to mix. And straight up, you can look this one up. If you look up Dark Claw #1, that was Batman fused with Wolverine. If you thought Batman was overpowered to start with, just read Dark Claw.
Oh god, I'm looking up images of this. What the heck is this?
You want to know where it gets weirder? Because the other part of the amalgam is Bruce Wayne, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes, Bruce Wayne. Oh, that sounds amazing. Bruce
Wayne just goes around solving problems then.
The problems are solved at this point. We have no more issues.
Well, we have a pretty big issue, and it's this. Sabretooth fused with the Joker.
Oh dear.
Yeah, consider that bit for a second. So yeah, there's this whole thing where they're fusing everybody together, and like not all of them are great. Like Super Soldier is Captain America fused with Superman, and it's like, I guess it's Clark Kent with a shield at this point.
Does he even need a shield if he's moving on? So I haven't read any of these, but I do want to bring up obviously two of the biggest comic runs that have happened in recent memory. One is Batmetal / the Joker, the Batman Who Laughs.
Oh yes.
It's like, I haven't read any of it, but obviously everyone has seen an image of the Batman Who Laughs, and it is probably the most interesting Elseworld situation we've ever had.
You say that. I would argue Injustice, the video game, does a pretty darn good job of that too.
Also that is the toppest tier one though.
Right. And well, it's interesting because like they both revolve around the murder of the Joker. Because the Batman Who Laughs basically had a whole thing where he was forced to choose between saving people or killing the Joker. And killing the Joker released a toxin that like possesses Batman, so he becomes the Bat Who Laughs. And Injustice literally is, well, I tricked Superman into killing people he loves and then nuking the town he lives in. How could this end horribly? By having the super tyrant.
Batman Who Laughs.
Yeah.
What fresh hell is this?
It's literally that. It gets
Holy shit.
There's a deep rabbit hole for all of the Batmetal comics. The DC Metal was a big rabbit hole of turning everybody into semi-Joker-fied versions of themselves.
I see.
Yeah. And you thought, oh, well, this is going to be an interesting JLA episode where we look at Elseworld, where all the villains are heroes and all the heroes are villains, and Owlman is kind of like a big villain. Nah, I like that movie, but nah, Bat Who Laughs is way more terrifying.
Oh, yeah. Way more terrifying. And also, I want to bring up the comic run that was supposed to, that I thought was going to be real, but I knew in the back of my mind it was never going to work out, was Batman, the marriage of Batman and Catwoman. It's like there was a lot of build up for that went nowhere.
Really? That is really sad to hear.
It's like it got like near the end. They were all ready for all of it, but the writers were like, "Oh, we can't have Batman be happy." There was actually a very nice panel or monologue conversation between Joker and Selina, where they're talking about, like, I think Joker captures Catwoman and after finding out about the wedding, and it's like, you know, you can't marry him, right? The city needs him, and and I need him as the Joker who needs Batman to fight him. And she's like, yeah, I know. So it's just sad that never actually worked out. Would have been nice. It would have been nice, but here we are.
I just see, the funny thing is you hear that or the Joker needs him, and I immediately think of the one episode of what was it? Is it Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy where Alan Tudyk plays his the Joker?
Yes.
Lane Tech promised an electric car by this year. I put a deposit down. Where's my goddamn electric car, Bruce?
I have seen that clip so many times, and then shortly after, no, it was right before that was it Scarecrow or
Scarecrow?
Scarecrow. It was Scarecrow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he rips off Batman's mask, and he's just like, "What did you just do? If I wanted to know his face, I could have done that so many times now." It's like our whole dynamic here.
You know that it's a proper version of the Joker too when he tells a joke that is both funny and makes you wildly uncomfortable. It's like, you know what we used to do after making chaos and being rowdy? Have a nice dinner, and no! We made things even more rowdy! We captured Commissioner Gordon and had sushi off of his weird fleshy body! We were picking out gray hair out of our teeth for weeks! It's just like, yeah, they probably have done.
But moving from the comics real quick, obviously the Arkham series is probably one of the best series of Batman games out there, / just some top tier games ever. Toppest tier games. I really want to try out Gotham Knights. I know it's a game without Batman, but I really want to try it out because honestly the best part about Batman to me are his sidekicks. The Bat family is really an interesting touch point for me.
Okay. Well, if that actually leads me to a good question then. Who is your favorite iteration of Robin?
It's like, who's my favorite Robin? My favorite Robin's still probably Dick. Dick / Nightwing is probably my favorite Robin.
Okay.
It's like that.
I'm gonna be basic. I actually really do like Dick Grayson as well. Dick Grayson is the one that I grew up with watching for Batman the Animated Series, and I remember by the time season 4 rolled around of Batman the Animated Series, they changed a lot of the character dynamics. It feels like there's been a big time skip. And I see someone in the black suit and the blue wing logo, and it's like, whoa, that's a really cool guy, but who the heck is he? And my dad happened to know. It's like, oh yeah, that's Nightwing. He grew up and just became his own superhero. It was like, characters can do that. That's so cool.
Yeah. DC's is the only ones who actually has that idea of legacy. It's like there's a big conversation on another YouTube channel I watch where they brought up the whole concept of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. They're the 3 pillars of DC. DC officially announced that Harley Quinn was the 4th pillar, talking about...
Really?
Yeah, Harley Quinn would be the 4th pillar for... It was either villains... It's either representing villains or representing anti-heroes, essentially.
Interesting.
Where she would hold up that corner of the universe. But then there was a conversation about... But the other 4th pillar, or a 5th pillar, if they made a 5th pillar, should be Robin / Nightwing, because he represents the legacy that all DC comics normally... That DC has a very strong foothold in, because almost every superhero has a young protege or child that could take their role in any given future or bad scenario.
Right, because even with a lot of the DC stuff, you'll see Terry McGinnis in all of the future things for Batman Beyond is a really big selling point, because it's the DC universe lived on, and it's not okay, well, what's happening now? We have plans for what happens 40, 50 years inside the future. Sidebar, one of my favorite moments from Justice League Unlimited is that they have a good chunk of the Justice League transported into the future and they don't know where they are. So 2 characters show up, Terry McGinnis as Batman and a slightly older Static Shock, and I'm like, I never even considered the fact that he would be old enough to still be a superhero. Yes, 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 more of this, please.
Oh my god. Also, back to the comics real quick. The guy who who is drawing the current iteration of Static, check out my Static reviews on advent7.com, is currently working on a Batman Beyond Old Man Static crossover comic that'll come out early next year, late this year. So it's gonna be awesome. Like, I've been seeing his panel designs, and it's so good.
All right, I need you to listen. That's my wallet. There you go. I definitely need to read that because that would be such a great dynamic. Yes. All right. Well, I think we haven't heard someone else's favorite Robin. So what about you?
Oh gosh, I know even less about Robin. I know even less about Robin than I do about Batman. I am wee plebeian here in this conversation.
Well, okay, so that kind of does remind me, and we did say we would talk about the Lego Batman movie. One of my favorite bits is that Dick Grayson is trying to find the uniform that he wants to wear, and it's like, what is that one? Oh, well, that was when I was trying to be Rastafarian Batman, and it didn't work out too well. It's just like, oh my god, that is such a perfect explanation.
It's perfect.
I can't even look at you.
It's like, and then he rips the pants off because he goes for the Underoos version of Robin.
There's also a really great line in there. It's like, whoa, so Batman lives in Bruce Wayne's basement? No, Batman has Bruce Wayne living in his attic. Which, it sounds like a joke, but then it's like, wait a minute. In Batman Beyond, we literally have a whole bit where there's a voice controlling Bruce Wayne.
It was like, I knew that it was fake. He was like, how did you know? It's like, because it called me Bruce. I don't call myself Bruce.
Well, what do you call yourself? Okay, well, that's my name now. Try the hell and that to my conscious. There's just so many really good little bits in shows like that where it doesn't have to be something that was super pertinent to the episode. It's not how do we fight crime, but just writing the relationship between these characters is always something that I really enjoyed. And funny enough, that's like exactly what the Lego Batman movie nails.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, somehow I went into this being like, all right, we're gonna make brick jokes. Just show me what you think this is. And then it's 90 minutes of everyone understands who the hell Batman is and then wrote a movie in Lego.
In Lego version. And still won't get over the fact that this was just about how much Batman and Joker just need each other to hate each other.
Yes. Yep. I also love how in the theme song that he has for himself, he says, who doesn't skip leg day?
Yes.
That subsequently kicks one of them in the face.
He doesn't skip leg day.
No, he wouldn't. It's also funny because, like, there's a lot of things in comics where specifically they mention that his diet is very, very strict, but also the fact that he is a very strict teetotaler. So anytime that you see panels of him drinking alcohol, it's usually ginger ale.
Mm-hmm.
So fun little bits of bat trivia for you.
Oh yeah, and also, so Spencer, since you don't know much about Robins, you should check out the DC sanctioned webtoon, the Wayne Family Adventures, where it's just
Wayne Family Adventures.
Yes. So it is all about all the Bat family hanging out around Wayne Manor. Occasionally they'll show like a crime fighting scene, but it's mostly about all the sidekicks who basically are adopted by Bruce in some capacity or another, hanging out with each other, with Bruce, with Alfred, going through random life stuff. We got Dick, we got Jason, we got Tim, we got Damien, we've got all the Batgirls, so Cassandra, Barbara, Orphan. They even got a Bat Signal is his name. It's like they're just all of them kind of just having slice of life adventures about the Wayne family. It's a webcomic on Webtoons. Check it out now.
I am in fact looking at it right now.
That sounds really interesting because usually when you have a slice of life, you don't have a character like Jason Todd.
We always mellow out Jason Todd because we just make him the angry. We make him the angry big brother. That's all we do.
Well, I mean, you have to remember, like, the first time I got exposed to, like, who Jason Todd really is was Batman Under the Red Hood.
Same.
Which is just basically the origin story. And it's like, oh, hey, I have the heads of the bosses. I'm your boss now. I get 30% of the cut. Okay? Cool. Do less crime. And it's like, okay, this is a different approach.
But it was really cool seeing the mystery unfold during the movie where Batman's like, did you see that? He cut the rope right before it went taut. It's like, someone would have had to know our moves to figure that out. It's
yes.
Like, oh, snap.
Yeah, that also was a really good movie where they do use the detective element of Batman a lot more than just, I fight crime, punch things.
Yep.
Definitely one of my favorite elements of the Arkham Asylum games as well, where it's definitely like, oh, I played Assassin's Creed. I like this idea.
It's like that. It's the one thing I got out of playing Spider-Man is whenever there was a stealth mission, I was like, this is just like Arkham.
Yes. Well, I've been playing. I just finished recently for Miles Morales' story of Spider-Man, and I always felt like I was cheating because it's like, I'm gonna turn invisible.
Yes.
And reset.
Yes. It's like Miles has the instant hack. It's like if you play the original Spider-Man, it's a lot harder because you have to be more creative.
Oh yeah, you have to be way stealthier, and there is no reset button. You will turn invisible in that game, and it's like you left. Which kind of like happens in Arkham Asylum where like you start seeing people get elevated heart rates, they start panicking, they start shooting their guns in random places. It's just really great. And it's like, man, this would be a different game if it wasn't in Arkham Asylum because no asylum on Earth has this many gargoyles.
So we're getting close to about an hour, so I want to talk about something a little more serious. Obviously, last month we lost someone very important to the Batman continuity, legacy, Kevin Conroy. He lost the battle to cancer, and all I can say is he is the biggest reason I'm a fan of Batman. His portrayal in the animated series, in Justice League Unlimited, Batman Beyond, and any other time his voice pops up, he is the voice of Batman. He is my Batman. And I just wanted to say thank you to him in this podcast. That was the big reason why I wanted to do this podcast.
I was lucky enough to meet him about 4 or 5 years ago at this point, and there was definitely something where, like, you know, when you do autographs for quite a while, that there seems to be that element of, I'm getting a little tired doing this. It's getting a little exhausting, but that never stopped him from being really super polite, really nice about everything, smiling the whole time. And I think he was the only guest as well that had, at the convention that I went to for playing at Comic-Con, they said that anytime you bought an autograph, you got a photo with him. Wow. And that made a huge difference for me because, funny enough, right next to him at the exact same convention was the voice of Terry McGinnis.
Oh.
Will Friedle.
He was so cool. And it was just interesting that it's like I got to meet two Batmans in the same day. And I could say the exact same thing by saying they were some of the nicest people I've ever really met. And talking with them even for 8 minutes could not have been longer, was absolutely worth attending that event. And so I have Mask of the Phantasm signed by Kevin Conroy now, and I don't see myself parting with it. And I also have an autograph from Adam West as well for the Batman movie he was a part of, because that was definitely something that I grew up with watching. And whenever I would watch Batman, it would be one of those two movies. It definitely was something where it would be very easy to say the same thing that Bruce says for the Gray Ghost. Growing up, he was my hero. And it's really hard to lose such an iconic voice. And as Mark Hamill put it, they found the right person for the exact right role.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes from the guy who got the Joker absolutely correct for anything voice related, in my opinion. And I'm certain they will find another person to play Batman and they will do well. But it's hard to replace the level of time that we've had just exposed to Kevin Conroy's work, whether it was in Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, the Arkham series, Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. It's so prevalent. Kevin Smith put it best. Whenever I read a comic book and Batman shows up, that's his voice in my head. And it always will be.
Like, yeah, there's always going to be Batman. Batman's never going anywhere. But losing Kevin kind of just... that voice is gone for a little bit. There's always going to be someone else to play Batman. I mean, it's like Kevin Conroy left the role for several years, but then he came back again. And so there are generations out there who have heard Kevin Conroy as Batman more than they've heard any other person play Batman before.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
I do know a friend of mine also mentioned that one of the scariest moments that he ever saw for Batman the Animated Series isn't anything with the Scarecrow, isn't anything with the Joker. It's Batman on a phone call with somebody else as Bruce Wayne. And so Batman is using his customer service voice to be like, hey, listen, I'm going to be at the party later tonight. I just want to make sure that everything will be fine, and I'll be there around 9 o'clock. Sounds good. Try not to be late. Save me a glass. Alfred. It's just so weird to think where Bruce Wayne literally is the customer service voice for Batman. But he did such a great distinction between those two voice roles where it's like you believe both. And like I said, that was something that I had trouble with for Nolan, was that he kind of struggles with how do I do Batman's voice versus Bruce Wayne's, where Kevin Conroy just felt like he slipped in between both of those seamlessly.
Yeah. But Spencer, do you have anything to add to the conversation real quick before we move on?
Although I didn't have as big of understanding of who the man was, the amount of old Batman that I've seen and going back to that old voice, he sets the tone for Batman to come, of who Batman is. He is Batman for an entire generation.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't want to end this on a somber note, so let's quickly talk about Batman's prolific rogues gallery, because honestly, when you think of Batman villains, or when you think of villains, you think of a Batman villain probably more than anyone else.
Yeah, when DC villains comes up, most of the time, the first thing that comes up is a Batman villain.
So, anyone got their favorite besides the Joker?
Oh. I mean, it's so difficult to pick a favorite because there are so many really great aspects for the Rogues Gallery for Batman, because so many times you'll get villains that show up. And another Rogues Gallery that I can think of is for the Flash, you have Victor, you have Captain Cold, you have the Reverse Flash, you have Captain Boomerang, and it always felt oh well, these are the ones that are living in the city same as him, that's why they're fighting. Whereas Batman's are you have the Riddler, who is I am the ultimate puzzle and you're the ultimate detective. Victor Freeze is I do not have an acceptance of my loss, but you do. The Joker is chaos, where Batman wants to be order. There's so many beautiful dynamics between them.
They just play off of each other. They're always opposites to some. The best ones are opposites to some piece of Batman himself.
Right. Even Scarecrow is the beautiful example of they're literally in the comics. They mentioned that the Scarecrow has been exposed to fear toxins so much he does not get afraid, except in 2 instances. Anytime Batman's involved, and when they literally put a yellow lantern ring on his finger, which is made of fear. So It took a lot in order for him to do that. But it's also something where in the same comics, you have Batman going around in the Yellow Lantern. It's like, oh, this guy inspires a lot of fear. Wait, you got willpower. Gross, I'm leaving. So yeah, for a few brief panels, Batman is just sitting with the Yellow Lantern ring going, please leave. But as for a favorite, I always enjoy anything with Edward Nygma. The Riddler is definitely one of my favorites, and it's definitely one of the reasons I still need to see the Batman with Robert Pattinson. It's just I really do want to see that done well.
Mm-hmm. You didn't think Jim Carrey did a good job?
Remember that thing earlier I said about good actor, bad writing? Here's the thing. You absolutely nailed the idea that he's a toy seller, that he has an inquisitive mind. But he doesn't have the, how do I put, the serial killer puzzle intent. He's not like Jigsaw where like, I want to play a game, here's how it goes. And some of the most beautiful things I remember as a kid were when the Riddler shows up with riddles and Batman gets to play detective instead of just punching him.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I always enjoyed that. I mean, like, it's so tough. Although the real question I have is that if every single Batman villain is supposed to be a reflection of him, what is Penguin supposed to represent? His stake is being high society rather than going for crime. He goes for heroics?
Well, yeah. I mean, both of them are high society types. One just uses what money he does have to cause problems, while Bruce Wayne's whole thing is that he solves problems. Or at least tries to.
Then how does this apply for Calendar Man?
Calendar Man! Bruce Wayne lost his childhood. Calendar Man always remembers.
I suppose. I mean, that's one way of putting it. I mean, like, he forget. I mean, like, Crime Alley shows up a lot in all of his histories, and he probably has everything down to a T about what happened on that day.
It's like, yes, Bruce Wayne just never has time for holidays. Calendar Man always remembers when the holiday is.
Batman doesn't celebrate Christmas. Calendar Man would like to wish you happy, including these 5 unofficial ones. Also, happy birthday, Sir Isaac Newton.
Spencer, you got any idea?
As far as like other ones, like I agree that having the Riddler kind of make Batman go back to his detective roots is just really fun to see, and I did enjoy that about the new Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can go with Riddler as well. However, like basically like every other, the difficulty that I have is just like whenever I think of Riddler and stuff that I've seen about him, he's just more of a joke in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Than an actual like cunning villain. So whenever you get to see him as like an actual like cunning mastermind, is really good to see.
Yeah, like
but that's just kind of going back to the whole like old campy Batman.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, old campy Batman makes some kind of a joke.
Which
I
can't really say that I'm a fan of old campy Batman, if I'm being completely honest.
I mean,
I can understand and respect that.
That's respectable. I
don't really like campiness in general. It just takes me out of things.
But what about Yuzu Camp or Yuru Camp?
That is a different kind of campy, sir.
But
Alfred Yuzuru Camp is absolutely the 3rd season we need funded. It cannot be nearly as weird as Batman Ninja.
Yes, Batman Ninja was a wild ride. But I did want to point out, Spencer, if you want to see another strong interpretation of the Riddler, you should watch the Batman animated series. So there was an animated series called The Batman. It was during that time where every action show had a small anime influence. It basically focused on a younger Bruce Wayne going through meeting his rogues gallery for the first time, and that version of the Riddler was interesting. It's like
I'm trying to see what he looked like at that time.
It's like he was lanky. He had a cane. He kind of wore black eye makeup over his face and mouth, I think.
Well, it's also interesting because, like, if you watch the Batman, it's like, why does this remind me of Jackie Chan Adventures? Because it's animated and directed by the same person.
Also, that show had Ming-Na Wen for the first season.
Oh, yeah! Good times.
Good times. So, probably my favorite Batman villain, it might be Mr. Freeze. If it's not him, I'm trying to figure out if Deathstroke counts, but I don't think he does.
He's not really part of Batman's rogue gallery. I can appreciate that answer, though.
It's like, it's that,
because I would put him more as a villain for the Teen Titans just because of the Judas contract whole thing.
Yep. That's probably why I think of Slade more than anything else, because he always he always is related to Teen Titans. So I'm just like, but I know he's fought Batman.
Can't say that. We gotta call him Slade. Always fucking hated that.
But yeah, it's either Mr. Freeze, or I almost want to say Poison Ivy when I really think about it.
I was thinking about Poison Ivy as a second one. I'm glad that you said that.
I'm always thinking about Poison Ivy, but this time it's related to being about Batman instead of other things.
Yeah, Poison Ivy is an interesting, because I'm trying to think about what is her opposition to Batman. It's like
easy. Batman is part of a city. She defies natural order.
Yeah, there we go. It's like she's an eco-terrorist, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Like, she is an argument for, I am not going to slowly wait for things to be as they are. I'm going to change them as the way that they've always been. And Batman wants to be changed, where he says, the past is broken, I need to fix it for the future.
Yeah, I like it. All right. That's about all we have time to cover. But obviously, there's so much more we didn't cover. I didn't even get a chance to bring up the Justice League meets the Power Rangers comic that I wanted to talk about. But we've got...
Batman, get in the pterodactyl.
But if there's anything we missed, obviously you can let us know down in the comments below. Once you're done here, why not check out some of our other content? This our most recent video is a Pokemon tier list for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Oh, by the way, I just caught my first shiny. Full odds, no sandwiches or anything, so I'm pretty proud of myself for that.
Well done.
And once you're done on YouTube, you can go to our main website, advent7.com. We have 2 articles. One is an exclusive look at the new Trigun anime, written by our boy Ed. You can also read my thoughts on Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I just finished that article, so it's up on our site now. For all things anime, video games, and comic books, please follow us on social media. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And of course, go to our main website, advent7.com. From Advent7, I'm Trey, and I was joined by Professor Shinobi.
Rest in peace, Kevin. We'll miss you, and we hope to pick up the mantle for you.
And Spencer.
See ya, everybody.
And we will see you all next time. Yeah, goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye. Is that the bat signal?
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman!
Batman! Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
I'll make tea so you can spill it.
Yeah, goodbye.